Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. So today I'm doing another one of my stats / goal review videos. So these I'm meant to do every 3 months to cover like the previous 3 months. This one is my second one of the year, so it's April to June. Next one's almost due, so it's about time I get this one up. And the way this works is I basically just discuss how my reading's been during those 3 months, how I'm doing on my goals for the year, and how I'm doing like generally. So it's been a while since those 3 months. Those 3 months you may notice cover kind of peak lockdown. So the number of books I read in that 3-month period was 49 books, which I actually think was really good. The worst reading month was by far April, because that's when I was dealing the hardest with like lockdown things and stress, and I just really struggled with what I wanted to read. But it really picked up near the end, as you'll see. And my average rating for those 49 books was 3.75, which I think is really, really good. Again, for that time period, that's some good stuff I read there. Out of those books, 7 of the books that I read were rereads, and one of the books was a DNF, so that doesn't count as part of the 49, but I just had a DNF during that time period. I can tell you that the DNF happened in April, and it was Gingerbread by Helen Oyem. I can't remember the surname. Oyemi or something like that. I will write it down below, but that was my DNF. Also during that time period I read 20 arcs, which again is really good. That is the same number I believe I read January to March, and hopefully I read more I think during this time period, mostly due to Galliathon and other similar prioritising of arcs. And those arcs I gave an average 3.8 rating, which is great. It means it's slightly better than the other books that I read, like my overall average rating. Very, very tiny difference, but again for arcs, this is definitely showing that I'm getting better at picking arcs that I'm actually interested in and I actually enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to go through the months. So like I said, April was my worst reading month of the 3, in that I read 12 books, which is fairly low for me. It's still really good considering lockdown and everything I was dealing with, but it is a low amount than I would normally read, and I gave those 3.88 on average rating, which isn't too bad at all. All these average ratings are pretty high. May, I read 14 books and I gave a 3.75 average rating. And then in June I read 23, which is more like my normal reading style, and I gave it average 3.61 rating. So slightly lower average rating, but I read more books, so I would consider June the better reading month. Just because if I read that many books, it's likely to have a lower average, because that's how averages work. So I have a lovely little graph for you now, and that is the number of books by the ratings. So as you can see, I gave no 1 stars or 1.5 stars. I gave 2 2 stars. I gave 3 2.5 stars. 9 3 stars, 6 3.5 stars, 13 4 stars, 6 4.5 stars, and 5 5 stars, which is really high for me. I'm pretty sure a lot of those were rereads, but that's still really good. So my most common one was 4 stars, followed by 3 stars, and then a draw between 3.5, 4.5, and then 5 stars, which is great because that means almost all of my ratings were 3 stars or above, which is fantastic. That's how I want it to be. Let me get onto the genre specific stuff. So interestingly enough, the most common genre that I read was contemporary. So the orange bar is the number of books in that genre that I read, followed by horror, and then thriller was way down at 6. I only read 6 thrillers during this time period, which is partially because I've split up young adult thrillers and thrillers, so I read 3 young adult thrillers. So overall I read 9 thriller genre, which isn't too bad. Contemporary was my most common, I think because I was struggling with lockdown and I wanted something a bit more light-hearted. And then my highest rated genre, apart from graphic novels and non-fiction, which they do count, but I only had 2 books in those genres, so apart from those ones, my highest rating was adult thriller with a 3.83. With contemporary it was 3.68, even though it was the most common that I read, and horror it was 3.43. You can kind of look at the other stats if you want to pause the video for the other books that I read. And now we have my little goal review section. So this is actually going to be up to date to the point where I'm filming. So this is technically, this part is April to September, like the start of September, that's where we are now. But at the time of filming, so my first goal was there was 2019 releases that I wanted to read in 2020. So these are like the new releases in 2019 I didn't get around to in that year. I have read 9 of them so far, which is a decent amount. I'm due to read a couple more in September, and a couple of ones I've been saving specifically for October because they're kind of spooky and I want them for that time of year. So I'm kind of technically behind on this goal, but I'm not too worried about it. I think this goal will be quite easy to fulfill compared to certainly some of the other goals. So the next goal was I picked 12 non-fiction books that I wanted to read in 2020. The idea was roughly to read one a month, but not necessarily, like, it wasn't specifically one a month, it was just kind of so I could space them out if I wish to. I have read one, which means I am way behind. I actually recently reactivated my Scribd membership because they've got quite a couple of them on there, like the non-fiction audiobooks, and I find non-fiction way easier to consume through the audiobook format. So the only one I read is Disney War, which I did listen to as an audiobook. I got that through Audible. It's a great audiobook, I highly recommend it. And I'm currently listening to Springfield Confidential, which is the one about the making of The Simpsons. So I'm not sure I can actually complete this goal by the end of the year now, but I'm definitely going to make a decent stab at it, and I definitely want to at least read maybe like 6 of the 12 because, like, I want to read these non-fiction books and I just put them off in favour of fiction books, which I probably shouldn't. And the kind of final major goal was that I picked 5 books, 5 backlisted books, so pre-2019 I believe was my criteria, from my favourite genres, and I wanted to read those books in 2020. So for the thrillers, I've read 3 of the 5, so pretty decent, pretty confident I'm going to complete that goal. Young adult thrillers, I've read 2 of the 5. Again, I think I'll complete that goal because with the thrillers I can kind of blast through them, particularly with the young adult thriller, and I think I'll get there in the 4 or so months I have left. Horror, I've read 2 of the 5. And again, in October, I think I'll be able to blast through a couple of the other ones. I feel like I'm being overconfident here. I've just said I'm going to blast through like 12 books or something. That's not maths. But these aren't the genres I'm worried about. The ones I am worried about, fantasy, I've only read 2 of the 5, and I do like to read fantasy around November time, but I'm less confident I will complete all of the fantasy books. Contemporary, I only have 1 left. I read 4 of the 5 for contemporary, so that should be easy to squeeze in at some point. Anthologies, I've only read 1 of the 5 for anthologies, so again, I don't know if I'll fit in these anthologies. I really want to, because one of them's All Out, which I really want to read, and another one is 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, which I've wanted to read for so long, but I'm not sure when I'll have time to pick these up. And sci-fi, I've not read any of them. 1 is on my September TBR, so I should be worn down by the end of September. But the other ones, again, I don't even own one of them. I thought I was going to buy it right near the start of the year, and I didn't. And it's not stupidly expensive, but the paperback is like £12, which I wish I could get it like on audiobook somewhere. I might check if Scribd has it, but I don't think it does, because like I thought I would do in this book by now and I don't, so I definitely might not read that one, but the other sci-fi ones, like the fantasy, I don't know when I'll squeeze them in. So I'm not doing too badly overall on that goal. I think I've read more than I haven't read, and I'm getting a decent chunk of the genres down, but I am running out of time on that goal and I am aware of that. So yes, that was kind of my more formal stuff over. More informal stuff, I'm making decent progress with arcs. I feel like I've read a lot of arcs, and it's down to Galliathon. It's definitely helped. I can blast through like 3 to 5 arcs in a week thanks to Galliathon, which is really helpful, as is the audiobook option on NetGalley. That has helped massively as well, because I listen to audiobooks faster because I can do that while I'm doing other things. I would like my NetGalley ratio to be up a bit. It's currently around 42%, but I have been approved for around 300 arcs. So I'm at the point now where, like, to get up a percentage, I have to read several arcs, like 5 arcs just to get up a percentage, which is my own fault, but I will get around to them. I also want to prioritise the 2019 releases more, because I feel like my focus has switched to arcs, and that's great, and I like doing that. I like reading arcs, I like reviewing arcs, I like being on top of the new releases, but the whole point of the 2019 goal is to not forget about the good books that have come out previously. And I think backlist books are the books I've read the least this year, so I definitely would like to get to more of those. But yeah, overall I'm really happy with my reading. I think it's going pretty well. Yeah, let me know how your reading's going, let me know how your goals are going, if you can remember any of the goals you've made. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, it helps me out massively, and I hope to see you next time.